Hello, you caught another episode of WNBA Courtside. I'm here with the crew, Nthabiseng Kaunda, and me, of course, Cyrus Rogers. We are going to be talking about our first impressions of the WNBA season. It's the 25th season. It's been incredible. The start to it was nuts. I mean, we had late game winners from Sabrina Ionescu and from Diana Taurasi. We had the Aces losing to the Storm, then the Storm losing to the Aces. We've had big wins, big losses. It's everything. It's been incredible. So, guys, let's get into it. What are your first impressions been? Nthabiseng, I'm going to start with you. This WNBA season, has it lived up to the hype?
See, when we first started talking about them last week, we said this is going to be an exciting season. We were not lying, because the way it's starting right now, it's making me want to watch every single game whenever I can. And it's just been fantastic. When you see the likes of Sabrina Ionescu after the injury, she came back like a rushing wind. She is doing fantastic, being the first in Liberty history, and the 9th ever in WNBA regular season history to hit a triple-double. Come on, guys, we gotta give props to the young one.
And the youngest to ever do it in the WNBA.
100%.
Sabrina Ionescu and this Liberty team are just doing some incredible stuff. I mean, when you think about just how young they are and the things that they're managing to do, you just think, okay, the sky is definitely the limit for them. Now, Nthabi, you've spoken, or you wanted to talk about the Liberty specifically, I guess because of their numbers. They're 3-0 at the moment, and they're just looking good. Do you think they can continue this kind of streak?
I think they can. Remember last season we were talking about how young they are. It's going to be a little iffy for them. But I think, and I said last season, I'm like, they have something to prove. So let's not write them. Yes, last season they didn't have a great season. They lost to Ionescu. But in this year, I think they are trying to prove a point. They are here to stay. They are a legendary team, and they will show up whenever they need to show up. And I've seen it. We've seen it in the past 3 games, and I think they can continue on the same winning streak. Yes, they'll lose some, they'll win some, but they are definitely a team that we need to look at, even heading into the playoffs late on this season.
I mean, it's incredible when you think about the fact that, like, look at some of the youngsters on this roster and you think, okay, what the heck? I mean, how good are these guys? Now, Kaunda, there's somebody who we haven't mentioned, and that's Michaela Onyenwere. Because Onyenwere really has been an inspirational rookie. So when you think about what the youngsters have been doing in New York, you're just like, okay, and now we've got a young African also showing her way. Is the Liberty a team that we need to be paying more attention to?
Yes, Cyrus, it's actually quite a beautiful coincidence in that we've been looking down at New York basketball for quite a while now, and it seems like from all angles, New York basketball is getting better. If you go to the to the Barclays Center, you're going to find the Liberty and the Brooklyn Nets in there doing their things, and guess what? Even the New York Knicks are in the playoffs. But enough about the NBA. But Cyrus, seeing a young African woman doing her thing in the NBA brings joy to my heart, Cyrus.
In the
WNBA, sorry. You know how I support the moment I saw Erica Ogumbuale, I was like, hello, the Ogumike sisters. I love it.
Now we've got Onyenwere,
Absolutely. And I'm glad you're pronouncing it right this week, Cyrus. Yes.
I'm trying. I got my Ogumikes mixed up with my Ogumbuales last week, and that was, I had to get something for the throat. Now, Kaunda, while we're with you, let's talk about who you've been wanting to talk about, and that's your Sparks. They've only played 1 game this season, but what a game it was. And it wasn't a victory for them. Is this the beginning of a tough season, or do you think, look, starting with a loss doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a long season?
Look, Cyrus, I'll go 50-50 on that one. Because obviously, the Sparks have had their challenges, both from a coaching staff, team morale, so on and so forth. Now, they came up a much motivated Dallas Wings that beat them 94-71. But you've got to look at other situations like Nneka Ogumike, one of my favorite WNBA players, really showed up. 18 points in that game, Cyrus. And you got to look at her sister, Chineo Ogumike, Cyrus. She's been out of professional basketball for the past 2 years, so she also had some rust to shake off. And I know last week I was looked at funny when I mentioned Tia Cooper, but you saw how Tia Cooper and Christy Tolliver were in the backcourt. That 1-2 punch is going to be a problem coming, Cyrus. I swear, don't look at the first game as a sign of things to come. This team, once they start clicking, it's going to be a problem. I'm not saying championship caliber problem as yet, but it's going to be a problem.
Look, I like your enthusiasm. Yeah, look, I mean, hey, fanboying, it's a thing.
No,
and
because I was this saying,
you were.
Maybe you're going on looks more than talent. And I'm like, oh, really? What in Dwight Howard's world are you guys talking about?
Nice. Look, I think the thing though, Kaunda, is that we're not saying Tia Cooper doesn't have talent, but we're also looking at the broader picture of the WNBA. And as far as players in her position go, she's not even really in the top 10, if I'm being totally honest here. And I think when I look at just how things might go for the Sparks this season, I don't see where the scoring punch is coming from, really. They'll definitely scrap. They've got that, and they've got that dogged mentality. But I think Nthabiseng might also back me up here. It's tough to see outside the Ogumikes where they really get much going in terms of the engine room, considering that Simone Augustus just called it quits as just before everything was going to start. She'd be like, you know what? I've seen what the lay of the land is here in Los Angeles, and I'm okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Cyrus. And you losing legends. You lost Candace Parker. You lost Simone Augustus. Okay, fine. She's going to be part of the coaching staff. But you're still losing big-time players with what you have with Los Angeles. Yes, the Ogumike sisters are a fantastic duo. They can do a lot. But who else do you have? Let's talk about that.
Chelsea Gray's gone, right? Chelsea Gray's gone, and she was the heart and soul of driving that offense.
But I think Christy Tolliver, although you're overlooking what she's can be a great mentor to the young ones in the backcourt. That's what I'm saying. We lose some, but we also win
you get some. Yeah. Look, Tolliver's hard as nails, man. I
really
love Christy Tolliver. Yeah. No, so I mean,
we're not writing them off. We're not writing them off, but we're just saying that you must slow down on talking about them like they're the team that's going to go
he's all LA.
He really
I'm all LA. And the fans in LA are what fuel those great teams in LA. And that's why we got 2 championships in LA right now. The Kings. The Kings and the Lakers. I don't know if we can make it the Sparks too long shot, but I'm still rooting for them.
Look, you do what you gotta do. Your allegiance is definitely there. I'm going from LA to LV because for me, what I saw was this Aces team really looked like they were nowhere in game 1 against the Storm. And you know, I'm a Storm supporter. I love them. I love Brianna Stewart. But then in game 2 against the very same opponents, the Aces found what they were looking for. And this lady right here, Liz Cambage, just showed how dominant she can be. There was no answer for her in that game. When you look at it was a rough night for Izzy Magdebo at the Storm, who just had to try and put a body on Cambage. But Cambage was all over the place. And the thing for me about that particular game was that when you look at the WNBA and you look at players who play in the post, there's no one who is doing it better than Cambage right now. Like, she really will take you where she wants to go. You're not going to force her into positions that she doesn't want to be in. And I think that when you've got another player in the likes of the MVP, Asia Wilson, on your side, you've got a 1-2 combination that really is very impressive. I know that they're going to miss the likes of Angel McCoughtry because of her injury, but there's one player that we have to look at, and that's Kelsey Plum. welcoming her back onto that roster is a big, big deal, because Kelsey Plum was a big star in college. She's going to be a major star in the WNBA, and if she can get over her injury and really play to the best of her potential, this Aces team, they could just count the chips, as many as they want. And Bill Laimbeer is a really, really great coach for them. He gets his ladies to play hard basketball, and I think that they struggled when it came to the 3-point shooting prowess of the Storm in Game 1, but they managed to play their defensive game right, push everything in through to the paint, and then try and get them into a fist fight. And that's really what happened. There was no answer from the champions when it came to the questions being asked by the Storm, by the Aces. So what I want to know, Nthabiseng, is, do you think this Aces team can carry this on through the rest of the season? Because I feel that they can.
That's my team, man. So I will definitely root for them. I mean, when you look at how Liz and Asia are playing, they're giving each other spaces where they can play. Liz has a more of an inside powerful game, and Asia can shoot from the perimeter. So you have Asia up there by the free throw line and the wing, and then you have Liz Cambage inside. You have a powerful, powerful team there. And to your point, when Kelsey comes back and she plays to her full potential, this is about to be a championship. Maybe I could see them racking up chips because of the kind of talent that they carry. And then you have the other players that are supporting them that are not terrible players. So you have a solid... Yeah, you have a solid Las Vegas team that I feel that we could see them in the finals again. I'm calling it now.
I would agree with you. Kaunda, is this something you believe too? Or do you think maybe there might be too much asked of them when they come up against teams like Chicago who shoot the ball well?
Yeah, sorry. So I wanted to ask, because first of all, I like what you're both doing with the chips and Vegas. So
hey, when in Vegas.
But one thing about what I agree with both of you is the shooting ability of Asia. And if there's something I've noticed this season so far from one Liz Cambage is the improvement in footwork. I don't know if she took up tap dancing or something like Kobe once did, but Cyrus, Nthabiseng, I am seeing some great footwork. Like you said, that's why she's able to make you play her game and take you where she wants to take you. Liz Cambage's footwork is immaculate so far, and I'm loving what she's able to do with that. But my big concern is we still have the same concern from a 3-point perspective. Shooting from okay, apart from Darica Hamby, who's pretty comfortable shooting from range, but we still have that problem.
I believe what you mean is chucking from range. She's not dropping them down all the time, but when it comes to those full court heaves, she's done it before. She can
pull up a full court heave. But Cyrus, if the Aces are still struggling from 3, would they be able to really take it to teams that shoot well from 3? Like the defending champions.
But the defending champions, who they beat, shot 7 of 25 in the game that they lost, versus the Aces, who only took 15 3-pointers but scored 6 of them. And we have to remember there's 1 or 2 other things that we haven't mentioned about the Aces here. The first one being that their best 3-point shooter in that game was Riquna Williams. But then you also had Chelsea Gray, and we're forgetting that Chelsea Gray has joined the Aces, and her running point is one of the best things to happen to this team, because she doesn't know how to just give up. She does not quit. So I think that's the kind of thing that you'll see. I think the Aces might be tested, but that's also a time will tell. I mean, in essence, because the Storm went 7 of 25, maybe they were also forced to take bad shots because of good defense. So it's one of those things.
But remember what happened with Las Vegas last season, right? We were talking about how they don't have an outside game. They're not shooting threes. But Bill is able to coach them in such a way that they can still play their own game and force people to play how they want them to play. Even if they can't shoot. Yes, it's a problem that they don't have shooters. It will always give them a better advantage to have people that can shoot from the outside. But if you can force teams to play your own inside game and push them to the inside, you got to give Bill props for doing that.
No,
I think he understands his strengths and weaknesses, and he uses them to his advantage. And it's working.
Definitely. I mean, like, when you look at the stats, Jackie Young top scored in that game against the Storm with 21 points, and she grabbed 11 rebounds. I mean, that's nuts when you look at it from a shooting guard. Then she also went 1 of 2 from 3-point range. But I think that the key thing is here, if you're shooting, let's say, a lower volume of threes, but you're making half of them, you're still going to score points. As opposed to some teams who are taking way more threes, but only making a third, if that. So it really comes down to, what kind of game you're going to play. Now, we have to shout out our girl who can't be with us this evening, Lethabo, and she had a team that she wanted to talk about, and that really is the number one team in the WNBA, the Connecticut Sun. She has been going on about the Sun. When you look at the likes of Dwana Bonner, when you look at the likes of Alyssa Thomas or Natisha Heidemann, they've got such a great team going in Connecticut. Do you guys feel that they're almost being slept on, and the fact that they've won 3 in a row is just a sort of, I don't know, a bit of a hype train? Kaunda, I'll start with you. Do you think this is the beginning of something special? I mean, especially when you look at what the Sun did in the WNBA last season.
Look, the Connecticut Sun have always been a great team, and I'm glad to see Dwana Bonner healthy, Jonquel Jones healthy. They've got a great cast, but I think finishing off the season has always been a challenge for them. They'll go hard. They'll go hard during the regular season, and when it comes to the end of the season or the postseason, they kind of start looking a bit winded. I don't know if that's a pacing thing, because, a lot of people underestimate the fact that a team can pace itself into the postseason and pace itself into the finals even. And that's one thing I have personally noticed about the Connecticut Sun. They are a great team. They can do great things. Defensively, I think they're a great team. Offensively as well. But I think it's a pacing thing, and I mean, I'm no coach by any stretch of the imagination, but I tend to think the pacing thing plays against them.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to say the same thing as Kaunda. I think when we look at the number of minutes that they big time players like Jonquel Jones, she played 50 minutes against Atlanta. And Dwana Bonner played 36 minutes against Atlanta. That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time on court.
Yeah, especially for like where they are right now. I don't know if this is sustainable if you're going to play your players for this long. I'm not saying they can't do it, but the season is still a long ways to go.
Yeah. So. I mean, when you look at it, Thibodeau does that and has been notorious for running his teams into the ground almost, But then when you look at the Sun, you think, okay, could this be a problem considering they had injury issues last year and they just weren't all healthy? But then you have to look at somebody like Natisha Heidemann, who's been a revelation this season. She's really started to put up some really good numbers, and her teammates have really been impressed by what she's done. And when you're looking at the results that they've gotten, you just think, okay, because they're not beating like bad teams or historically bad teams. They're winning games that are tough games, where you're like, okay, this is really, not just a walk in the park. And I think that the thing about the Connecticut Sun is, yes, they've beaten the Atlanta Dream. Yes, they've beaten but they've also beaten the Phoenix Mercury. And this is a Mercury team that has so much talent in it. And then you think, okay, fine. What about a team like the Indiana Fever? They didn't just beat them, they absolutely mauled them. And I think this is something that we have to be very mindful of, that yes, they might not pace themselves well, but maybe what you want to do is build a bit of a lead, and then you could almost slow down towards the playoffs. I think the Lakers did something similar. It was that when they clinched their playoff spot before the bubble and all of that last season, they were basically coasting. So they could actually just sort of allow the guys to rest and recuperate while playing, if that makes any sense. And the Sun could do something similar, especially if they're able to use more than just Dwana Bonner in the offense. and this could be something really, really good. We're going to have to leave it there, guys. It's been a great conversation. Thank you so much, Nthabiseng. Thank you so much, Kaunda. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you keep watching WNBA Courtside. Tell all your fans. This is the 25th year anniversary of the WNBA season. We love the dub like nobody else, and we are really, 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 really happy that you've been watching the games with us. Till next time, from me, Cyrus, it's peace.